Welcome everybody to another episode of the Will and Rock podcast. Before we take these shots, let's go directly into some news. Right? So, I was reading up earlier that Manoa wanted a fight with both Glover Teixeira and Shogun, and they both turned him down. Well, it's pretty good that they turned him down. Manoa is on his way up, man. He is a freaking beast. He hits with a fucking rocket in his right hand. I don't disagree. I think that because he's on his way up, but Glover Teixeira is just coming off a win. Both Glover and even maybe Shogun, depending on what kind of performance he puts the next fight, they have the contentions of becoming the number one contender, which allows them to then fight for that belt, which is between Daniel Cormier right now. I don't see Glover reaching that anymore. I think he, even though he just came off a win, I still believe he's not in the best part of his career right now. It's still not the best Glover Teixeira. But I'm gonna tell you this. Or the hungry Glover Teixeira. But it's not even about is the competition in that weight class. If you think about it, there's not a lot of people you have to get through before you fight the main person in this weight class. I think if Jimmy gets put in a position to fight either Shogun or to fight Teixeira, I think it's a great thing for freaking Jimmy. If he pulls a victory off in any of those two fights, he really puts his name out there. Yeah. I feel like these veterans, like the Shoguns and the Machidas, they're giving these young guys who deserve this this light on over their heads, giving them the opportunity, like for example, the fact that Bronson beat Machida, that's great for Bronson. Yeah, it brings him up. If you do the same thing for Jimmy, whether he fights, Teixeira or he fights Shogun, and it's a great thing for him. Yeah, I agree, but anyways, I think it's very interesting how they both said no. I mean, contract things are a little crazy. I don't want to get to the conclusion saying that they're both don't want to fight Jimmy Manoa, or maybe their manager. That's what the article said. But the interesting part about it is someone like Glover Teixeira, us knowing Teixeira fighting for many years, he's not one to turn down fights. I agree. Maybe he turned down the fight because he assumed that Jimmy's not a big name for him, which is something you got to think about. That same thing for Shogun. Shogun might feel like Jimmy's not the right name for him. Anyway, let's go to another one. Team Means, he just signed a new five-year contract with the UFC.
No, it's a five-fight contract.
Oh, sorry, five-fight contract. Yeah, 5 years. My fault.
That's a great thing. That's Absolutely. A great thing for the UFC.
I think that Team Means should consider maybe fighting at least 2 to 3 times next year in 2018. He needs to put his name back in that map. He needs to start to scrap. We need to see an evolution of Team Means. He's still a young guy. I feel like he still has a lot of potential, a lot of gas under his wing.
Oh no, hands down. I don't want to get into this too long. I think it's great that he's had a five-fight contract. I think he deserves a 5-fight contract. He's made a name for himself for the UFC to put him on that list. He just needs to start making his name for himself. Yeah. 5 fights could be anything, man. If they could come and go as fast as they can. He needs at least, like you said, if he gets 3 fights in the UFC in 2018, big victories for him.
Absolutely.
He needs them.
Also, Chris Cyborg. Do you believe Chris Cyborg and Holly Holm is the greatest women's fight in UFC history?
Oh, jeez, man. There's so many things about that. First of all, where would Cyborg really be without the steroid allegations? It's obvious she did steroids. I mean, let's be honest. It's obvious she did. Where would she be without the steroids? This is the only reason why I say I don't know if this is the best women's fight of all time. I don't know. It's really hard for me to say. It's really hard for me to say, is this the women's? I do believe this is one of the greatest matchups in 2017 because
what's a bigger fight? What is a bigger fight right now? We're talking about how big this fight is for the women's not only the women's weight class but the women's MMA. Like, how big is this? If you ask me, there's not a bigger fight.
It's the same thing, but that's the same thing they said when Ronda fought Holly Holmes. The best fight of all time.
No, but it's more about the publicity that they're getting. This is not. It's not going to catch you. I mean, people fell in love with Holly Holm after the whole Ronda Rousey knockout. I think, and then you got a person like Chris Cyborg. Whether or not she was on steroids, the last few fights she's had in the UFC with the real strict that is the strict that's happening now with the whole USADA in the building now. She's not doing steroids. Like, that's already in the past. We should not put that anymore. She's had over three fights already where she did not get popped. Let's stop talking about the whole steroid thing. That's like lame already.
I mean, listen. You make a great point. I don't think away from her.
With that being said, nobody wants to step in the octagon with Chris Cyborg, right? Nobody. Who decides to do it? The person that beats Ronda Rousey, one of the biggest victories in women's sport history, if not the most, right? Now you get these two beasts in the ring. There's not a better fighter in the world than Chris Cyborg, whether on and off or steroids. Let's both be honest with ourselves, okay? So we're talking about the best fighter fighting a girl like Holly Holm, who complement themselves completely on the with the stand-up game. They don't want to take each other either or to the floor, right or wrong. I mean, this has the potential to be the greatest, if not the greatest, women's fight ever. I don't know how you even act like it's not going.
No, I'm not. Listen, first of all, the question was asked: is this the greatest women's tough fight? I said I'm not 100% sure if it is or it isn't. And my whole response to that, if we leave all the steroids allegations to the side about Cyborg, it's more of this is the same thing they said when Rousey fought Holly Holm.
Right, and then you get another fight which is even better, so then you call that out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think this is my thing. We'll see how it plays out. And the reason why I say this is because even though I do believe Holly Holmes has an okay chance versus Cyborg style fighting, it's overwhelming for someone like Holly Holmes because Holly Holmes knows how to keep her distance, which she's great at, and she needs to keep the distance in order to win any fight because that's the leg kick that.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt you. I don't think we should go into depth of how that card's gonna play out because we are gonna do the next podcast and we're gonna talk about that. That's UFC 219. That's coming December 30th. The next podcast is gonna be about the whole predictions and all. But let's get straight to these shots, man. Okay, so the first fight on the UFC card in UFC 218, which by the way happened in Fox, so it was free for everybody to watch.
It was a good card.
It was a tremendous card, man. The first one was Glover Teixeira versus Misha Karnovov, okay? You can start setting up while I look at this and enjoy this. You said Glover Teixeira was going to lose. I said Misha was going to win. You said...
I honestly didn't see Teixeira win this fight, man. And he surprised me. I will say he did surprise me.
What are you doing?
Well, you want me to set you up for the next show?
No. Dogs do you. Alright, so, anyways, so you took the big L there. You picked Misha winning.
I got Misha winning because I felt like Teixeira was falling off. Teixeira proved me wrong. Fuck you. Cheers. Cheers.
Oh, man. How was that? Good. Alright,
next fight.
Now, the next fight. The next fight is Santiago Panasibo, I have a hard time saying his name, versus Mike Perry. So we both picked Mike Perry to win this fight. He ended up losing in decision.
Mike Perry losing this fight.
I'll do you the favor while you talk.
Mike Perry losing this fight, it really shows how much training, how much hype people put under somebody else's name. How much hype he also gave himself, and he didn't execute. One thing I will say though, they did an after interview with him, and he mentioned that he said I take this L, and he said he discredits his cardio. He feels like he needs to get in there and train his cardio.
But also, something that I also heard while listening to some other medias is that Mike Perry was going in there with an injury, and that's what made him very tired throughout the fight, and he wasn't 100%. With that being said, we could say that about a lot of fights. A lot of fighters go into that octagon feeling weak.
But the Argentinian dude, man, what's his name? Rafael? His name Rafael? The Argentinian guy.
Santiago?
Oh, Santiago. Yeah. What the fuck, I come over Rafael. Santiago, what a fucking great fighter, bro.
Yeah.
I don't think he got enough credit for beating Mike Perry and the way he beat Mike Perry. He stood up and banged with Mike Perry. That's not what you want to do.
No, I agree with you 100%. I think is something to look forward to, because I love his technique, very accurate when he swings and all that stuff, and completely just out pressure Mike Perry. Mike Perry kind of fell apart throughout the rounds, and
Mike Perry has a fucking chin, bro. He has a chin. He was getting rocked so hard. This guy Santiago, bro, if he would have fought anybody else, he would have knocked him out.
Right.
That's somebody we should remember that name, Santiago, man.
For real, no, I agree with you 100%.
Argentinian kid.
Right, so with that being said, yeah, we both picked Mike Perry, we both lost, so we both take shots. Cheers. Oof. Alright, the next one. John Emmett versus Ricardo Lamas. To me, this was a no-brainer. I said Ricardo Lamas is going to fight a guy like Josh Emmett, who, although they're getting like a lot of publicity with the whole alpha male saying that he's the next on the come up and he's the next guy, and they're raving about this guy. Ricardo Lamas is next on line for that belt. He would have won that fight. He probably could have gotten the belt. He's that like black horse in that division where he's gonna come up. It's only a matter of time before he makes it. And what you know, man, Josh Emmett comes in, tremendous overright left hand directly to the chin, cracked his jaw. He was out.
This kid Emmett, all these young fighters coming up in the alpha male, dude.
Yeah.
The Codys and this kid, Emmett, they're the real deal, man.
I agree. I mean,
the real deal.
Mind you, Josh Emmett did miss weight, so he still got his 20% cut off his purse. But what a performance! I mean, that's the time you need to shine when you're fighting a guy like Ricardo Lamas. One of the best in his weight class. That's how you perform. That's how you finish. I'm excited to see who are they planning on putting next for Josh Emmett.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm excited to watch him fight. I'm really excited to watch him fight. I'm excited to see Ricardo make a name for himself on the next fight because he needs to. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited to see who they're going to put Emmett next with. I think this I'm not saying that this is a win for Ricardo Lamas, but this is a huge victory for Emmett beating someone like Ricardo.
Yeah.
One more fight. One more TKO, he is up there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And it's hard to say that, it's hard to say after you beat someone like Ricardo Lamas, it's a big deal.
I do agree 100%. But with that being said, both Ricardo Lamas, who you and I have picked to win, lost by complete KO. And because of that, another shot. So, fuck my life. Cheers. Cheers, guys. Okay, and last but not least, Rafael Dos Anjos versus Robbie Lawler. Thank God I only took 2 shots. Rafael Dos Anjos showed, patience. I haven't seen a more dominant fight. Well, I don't want to take anything off from Robbie Lawler. He had a great performance to a certain extent in that fight. You show his will and everything. Daniel Cormier kept on saying in the 4th round, like, oh, this is where Robbie Lawler always likes to be. You're gonna start to see him pick it up. And Dos Anjos never stopped for 1 second. Magnificent clinch, unbelievable clinch.
Let's not forget he was a champion.
Couldn't go anywhere.
Let's not forget he was a champion.
Even better than that, Rock, is what weight class he was the champion in. He was in the lightweight division. He's now stepped up to fight a guy like Robbie Lawler, who's number 2 or 3 easily in that division, and completely beat him every single round. It was a 45-50 split unanimous decision. Yeah. Unbelievable performance. Yeah. Unbelievable performance. I was completely memorized with his performance.
The great thing about him is that he has such a dominance on the lightweight division. He ends up taking the losses, and he seemed like he was spiraling down fast. Mm-hmm. What happens? He ends up saying, you know what? It's hard for me to make lightweight. I was having a hard time to make lightweight. I walk around in this weight. Stepped up to the plate. Has done a phenomenal job in that weight class. He just beat fucking Robbie Lawler, bro. Does he deserve a title shot?
Does he deserve a title shot? That's a good fucking question. Coming off the loss versus the fight before, well, not right before, when he lost the actual belt to Eddie Alvarez before Eddie Alvarez fought McGregor. after losing to him, you would think, damn, what's next for him? Keeping in mind that he used to cut so much weight to make lightweight. He decided, you know what, I truly walk around the 170s, I'm just going to cut down a couple of pounds, and I'm right there. Decides to go to middleweight. Performance after performance is showing just improvement. His cardio's always been there. When nobody ever questioned his cardio, but the way he's putting it all together in that octagon, the clinches, the body shots, the kicks were significant in that fight, completely significant.
And he's a jiu-jitsu guy, man.
Absolutely. Well, there you go. There you go. Special. Good luck taking him down. You know, nobody was grinding more than he was. He would just put him to the against the gauge, punch to the body, a few good hits to the face.
That's what the body hits was the most impactful thing in that fight. Yeah. Those were the most impactful things in that fight because you got Robbie winded, and Robbie's known to shine in the 4th and 5th round, especially in those big occasions. Yeah. And he just didn't have enough wind to do so. Yeah. I mean, if you give him credit, his coaches deserve a ton of credit. If you see it from a coach perspective, he's an amazing student. He did absolutely everything he needed to do to beat somebody who's so unorthodox in the octagon like Robbie Lawler. Yeah. You don't know what you're gonna get from Robbie, and he did such a phenomenal job. And I will tell you, Robbie looked like he was in phenomenal shape for this fight.
He did. He looked amazing.
He looked like he was on point. He just could not keep his hands.
But this is also the thing. I think the most important and of course the most significant thing that happened during that fight was the leg kick. So you started to chop Robbie Lawler on the legs. You started to see that his punches were not as strong.
Because that was right.
He has to lean on that left leg in order to throw that over right hand that he's used to.
And those punches could have gone more to that leg, and he chose towards the end not to do it. I was like, dude, you have to fight. Yeah. He was literally 3 solid hits away to that leg for fight to be over. Because Robbie was gonna hit the canvas. There's no way Robbie's gonna get up. And that also shows you the balls and cojones fucking Robbie has.
Yeah, I do agree. You know, when we did this last week, I really thought maybe Robbie Lawler's gonna pull this victory, but knowing how Dos Anjos has been performing, it was so hard to me to bet against him. Robbie Lawler, unfortunately, is not the same fighter he was a couple of years ago. With that being said, I picked Rafael Dos Anjos. I really thought he was going to pull the victory. I really thought it was going to be decision, so I really played it out very well in my head, and exactly what happened in the octagon I pretty much predict. With that being said, you lost. So you took 4 shots today, and I only took 2. I am victorious.
Cheers.
Anyway, so that's all for today. Thank you very much for taking that many shots. We'll see you guys next week. Next week is UFC 219.
I'm so looking forward to that card. Please stay tuned to that card. Stay tuned to that card.
And we're going to give our predictions, and then the week after, which is sometime first week of January, is when we come back and we take some shots again. If fights keep on happening as rapidly as they have, we're going to continue to be able to do this. There's going to be weeks where there's no fight, so we might just talk some UFC news or something. So, anyway, stay tuned for the next one. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, the Will and Rock Podcast, and our YouTube. I'm pretty sure you're looking at your YouTube now. Make sure to like. You have any comments, any questions?
Yes, and people that did comment, we truly appreciate. Yeah. Will, you came up with you said a couple of great things. You wanted us to. By the way, thank you for the compliments you gave us. You also mentioned you wanted us to go deeper into Bellator and different federations. We're gonna every once in a while throw out big Bellator fights. We're not planning on sticking to Bellator or anything else.
What people need
at least now.
Yeah, but people need to understand UFC has a tremendous roster. It's a lot to learn all these fighters' names, remember all these fights. For us to put a completely different federation into the mix is a little tougher, honestly. But with that being said, the Bellator heavyweight Grand Prix. The Grand Prix is happening all year long. It starts off in January with Rampage versus Shogun, and versus Shonen, so to say. And the last fight is sometime in December. I think it's Fader versus Matt Mitrione. I could be wrong.
No, Mitrione is fighting Roy Nelson, I think.
Oh, that's true. Frank Mir.
Frank Mir.
Yeah. So as the time Bellator, we're definitely gonna get the heavyweight division. Every other division, man, I'm not touching unless it's a super knockout that we're going to talk about. But besides that, we're sticking to just UFC, and next year coming the Bellator Heavyweight Grand Prix.
I can't wait for that. Yeah,
It's gonna be fucking off the hook. Anyways, everybody, peace. Thanks for listening.
Peace, guys.